Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast, where we discuss and analyze your favorite marble sports. From JMR Marble League to I'll Go Do tournaments, we'll make sure you never miss the action. All marble sports, all the time, right here on the MSW Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Commander Wolf. What was that, Hannibal Lecter?
I'm sorry, I'm just too excited. Marble League is back this year, guys. 2021 Marble League has already started with the qualifiers. You guys know. I yelled that so loud. Oh my God, sorry. You guys know, if you've been a part of this show for a long time, you know that Marble League is Marble Guys, or Brendan's, favorite by far out of all the three JMR events. I love all of them, but Marble League just gets all my juices just flowing at high levels. So I am super excited to talk about Marble League today. There's a few things that happened in the qualifiers that got me extra excited. If you know me, you know what those couple of things may be. So we will talk about those as well. We have a late episode. I know it's been 2 weeks since we've done an episode because we were working on getting a guest on who's a very special guest for today, as well as I was down in Florida. I'm going to be moving to Florida in about 2-3 months. So we were looking at houses. We were trying to decide on one. My parents, of course, I'm not paying for a house yet. And that's a big deal. So that was taking up a lot of time. So sorry for a delayed episode. We did not cover much of the end of SMR. So after I turn things over to Woff to tell us about his life, I'm going to just do a little spiel on SMR and the end of that for like a couple minutes here in the intro. And then we're going to just stay straight with Marble League and the rest of the stuff for the bulk of the episode. So, well, with that being said, Wuff, tell us about your life from the past few weeks.
The only thing that really substantial that I got done recently is like for one thing, I came back and there's been a bunch of I don't know if you know, but they're like sweat bees, like tiny little bees that just all flying around in my apartment room. I've been killing them for the past few weeks. It's been not very fun and very annoying. But then I guess I did some rock climbing recently. With my church, and it was quite an physically intense event. Like I was doing bouldering, which is kind of like it's a small wall, but like it has like different angles and very strange holes you gotta grab onto.
Right.
Like my arms legitimately still hurt, and it happened on Wednesday. Today is Sunday, so that should tell you I gave it my all for that, and I'm still feeling it.
That's good though. No pain, no gain. You know what I'm saying? Gotta put in that work, and then the rock climbing. Rock climbing is fun. Rock climbing is. I've always wanted to go out and do it. I haven't done it in a long time, like probably years ago. But I get a little bit worried about the heights, so that's why I'm.
I did one of the big tall walls, and I got up pretty high, but I had the strength to go up higher, but I couldn't push past the mental block, and I had to go back down again.
No, I feel you, man, for sure. You talked about bees. I knew a girl, and it was like a couple days ago. I told her I killed a bee or something, or I don't like bees, and because she posted a video of herself like holding a bee, like, ooh, bee, cute. And I was like, how do you hold bees? Like, bees is like scary. What if they sting you? And so I said, oh yeah, I've killed a couple bees before. And she, for some reason, got really, really like upset about that. Like more upset than like anything else I've ever said to her before, because we're like friends. So she's like, how do you kill bees? That's awful. I'm so offended. I'm like, what? I don't understand. I don't understand how that's the thing that bothers you about from all the things that I've said.
Bees are, like they can't sting you more than once, so they know not to. Like they only do it if it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, they freak me out still though. So I mean, don't kill bees.
Or if you get stuck. I've seen a video where like a bee got a stinger stuck in a guy's arm once, but like he didn't start freaking out. He just helped him get a stinger and then just flew away.
Damn. That guy has more courage than I do. I don't know. When bees land on me, I just kind of I become a little schoolgirl. I flip out and I start hitting it. I start slapping it. and just trying to get it away because I don't know why. I think it's because I got like stung by a bunch of bees when I was really young, so I just have that like that PTSD or something from it. But with that being said, guys, I'm just gonna do a quick 2 minutes on SMR. Okay, SMR. I predicted Super Bowl would win overall. Waff, tell me who won overall.
Super Bowl won overall, as you just said.
Yeah, and actually, me and Waff, we had dinner after episode 100 at a very nice pizza place. Waff ordered a giant cookie and ate 2 bites. He ordered this giant freaking lava cookie, ate 2 bites. He's like, I'm done. I'm done
with ice cream. Okay, mind you, I think I ate half of it.
Okay.
I think I ate.
No, yeah, because I sat there and I was like, you're gonna eat a couple more bites of that cookie. I'm telling you what. But no, it was a really fun dinner. But we talked about SMR for a little while, and we both came to the conclusion that we think Super Bowl actually would win, even though we were sitting in 3rd place or 2nd place at the time, just because of some of the clear skill he showed in the previous race where we made that really nice pass that we analyzed, I think in the previous episode, or
it was episode race 11.
Yeah, we analyzed that. So I'm really happy to have predicted right. We talked about where we ended with fantasy on that, did we? I think privately we did. It was
I think we might have come up with a fantasy. I can't remember who I said I thought would win over. Like I definitely knew that Super Bowl had a very high chance of winning. But I felt like I think I mentioned that I felt like Ghost Plasma had a decent chance, but then they got hit by that, like they got stuck on the last race. Yeah,
oh my god, that made me so happy.
They missed out on the podium too, which it sucks, man. I feel for Ghost Plasma. I feel for him.
Slimer also hit the podium, and that was unexpected for sure because Slimer was kind of undernoticed throughout the year of SMR, but for him to slowly work his way up and then grab, I think he grabbed 3rd overall was really interesting. Overall, SMR was good this year. I don't like how they broke it up 6 and 6. That was really annoying, and I did not enjoy that at all. But I did enjoy the snow rallies, and I'm hoping in the future to make SMR a much better event, that they really start to try to work in different terrains. They really start to go to the next level creativity-wise, because now we've got 5-6 years of the sand race, and I know they're hard to make. I know they're difficult to construct, but I think a raise in creativity again, where something new hits us out of nowhere. And we're like, whoa, we didn't think SMR was going to come up with that, would be really nice. This intro is long.
Okay.
This intro is way too long. So let's just go to the news. Let's see what Johnny Marble has to say. And then when we come back, we have a very special guest and a lot of Marble League to discuss.
Hello, Marble Sports fans! I am Johnny Marble here with the Marble Sports Worldwide News, sponsored by the Marble Hotel. Wherever you roll, we'll be there. Let's get right into it, shall we? Race 12 of Marble Rally Season 5 was a battle for all the glory. The Marbles had a rough time of it out on the track, such as when Dragon's Eggs lost an early lead after going too high up on a turn, and Comet flew off the track, like most Comets do. The most unfortunate complication, though, came from Ghost Plasma, who was in 5th place, but got stuck on a divider near the end, taking him out of podium contention. After fighting through all of that, Super Bowl came in 1st, followed by Marbly McMarbleface in 2nd, and Lollipop in 3rd. Now for the overall results. After amassing 3 victories this season, Super Bowl was able to secure the gold, and very close behind them, with multiple 3rd and 2nd place finishes, is Cool Moody, taking home the silver, and Slimer claiming the bronze. Congratulations to these incredible racers, and we here at MSW can't wait to see them again in Season 6. But next up, we have the final 2 races of the Racing Marble League Season 2. Race 5 took place at the Mibbs Express Raceway, featuring a large incline and S-curve, and it was quite the treacherous track, as several marbles will get stuck at one of the turns throughout the race, resulting in 6 marbles getting overlapped, with Luminous MC even being lapped twice. It was quite the struggle, but Crimson Lady managed to take 1st, followed by Serpent Smart in 2nd, and Polyonics in 3rd. Finally, we have Race 6 at the classic RML Speedway, featuring a large glass bridge with branching paths. There was a lot of back and forth throughout, and in the end, Zero took 1st, followed by Rampage in 2nd, and Crimson Lady took home 3rd. And with that, we can move on to their overall results. While they may not have won as many races as they did last year, Crimson Lady still kept up her incredible racing and maintains her title as the champion of the Racing Marble League. Close behind though is Rampage with the silver, who really gave Crimson Lady a run for their money, and Victoria's Secret taking home the bronze. Season 2 was incredible, and we here at MSW are looking forward to Season 3. Well guys, I've been Johnny Marble. You are the best fans in the world. Let's take it on back and continue now with the podcast that is sponsored by Marble Hotel. Wherever you roll, we'll be there. And so will Johnny Marble.
Welcome back from the news, everybody. Thank you, gratitudes even, to Johnny Marble for bringing us an exciting news segment. So much going on in Marble League this week. But before we dive into that, we got to introduce our special guest, a former JMRC member and the vanguard, we'll call, of the Marblearth project, which we will talk about later today. Welcome, Stynth, to episode 101 of the Marble Sports Worldwide podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now,
It's great to have you
I
back.
am correct in saying that you were the creator of the Marblearth project, correct?
Yes, I am running Project Marblearth right now, and I started it as well a few months ago, and it's continued.
Awesome, and we will talk about what that is later on. But as we get into Marble League discussion today, I want to point out a few things. So point out some interesting stats that we should be aware of when going into today. Obviously, you guys know I'm very excited about one particular thing that happened. But before I mention that, I'm going to let you guys think about that again for a moment. I'm going to talk to you about the teams that have always been in every single Marble League. So a lot of teams lost that honor this week. Oceanics, Team Galactic, both not qualifying, which is really crazy to think about. Team Galactic, for me, was the most surprised because since they seem to me to always be the most consistently solid and recognized team. Team Galactic's going to be there. Team Galactic is always going to be finishing about 5th place. But he did not make it. So many people reached out to me with this stat because I asked for it, to thank you to all those people. But they said Savage Speeders, O-Rangers, Thunderbolts, and Mellow Yellow are the only teams left that have been in every regular Marble League, not counting the winter ones and all that, since 2016. Team Galactic and Oceanics have been in every one since 2016, but as you know, were not qualified for 2021. And the Midnight Wisps have perfect attendance since 2017. They did not appear in 2016, but they've been in everything since 2017, and also didn't make it this year, making them the first Marble League team that has won a Marble League to not be in, to not qualify in a later date for a Marble League. So, with that being said, anyone else as surprised as I am by all of those facts?
Yeah,
Don't all speak at once.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Stynth. Go ahead.
I would say yes. I'm quite surprised, and as someone who had a look behind the scenes in the past, it's quite surprising this year to see how much things have changed. This year's qualifiers was definitely structured differently compared to previous year's qualifiers, and the events this time around lent themselves to produce more random results than you would expect. Like you would expect, say, the Savage Speeders, just as an example, Savage Speeders to do very well in speed events. Well, this time around you have the Wave, which is just kind of a chaotic event as it is, very much focused on speed and control, but there's so many things going on in the Wave that we're really not sure what strategy works for that right now, especially because it is a new event. Then you have Funnel Endurance, which definitely has some speed and control elements as well, and then you also have the Relay, which that's a speed event purely. But you also have to think about like the handoff in that event. And then you have the Sand Rally, which really is speed. But even then, like with all of this focus on like speed and racing, their selection of events was also just different than what we've been used to, and there really weren't like any events like based on like brute skill, like such as block pushing. I know that's something a lot of Wisps fans were not happy to see get axed, because the Midnight Wisps historically do extremely well in block pushing.
That is for sure.
So I mean I still thought the Wisps were going to qualify, and to be fair, like they were really close to qualifying.
1 point away.
That
No,
tie,
not 1 point away. I was looking at something else. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know how many points away. I had to scroll down on the wiki here.
Yeah, the tie in Group A, and there was a tie in Group B too, between 7th and 8th. But it really could have been. It's like even like the smallest change in these qualifiers could have had wildly different implications. So.
Oh yeah. I think the biggest one would be how the division between Group A and B, like in Group A, the Jungle Jumpers and the Midnight Wisps, like they got more points than the Chocolatiers and who was the other team? I forget.
The Ducks.
It was
the Green Ducks.
The Ducks, and it's like there was other people who were saying like, well, like because they got a higher points values, they should have replaced them because that's just like they proved they did better, so they should like get the position. But then it's like, well, like if they had swapped groups or if different teams were in different groups, then the results would have been different. And so it's like, it's hard to say like what should be done in that situation.
Well,
yeah, that's.
I have to roll in right here. Can I get it? Roll. I'm rolling in.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have to roll in right here because Waf, you got to be careful what you're saying because I don't think I disagree with the structuring the qualifiers, but once that structuring is laid out, once you've separated them into those two groups and that's what you're deciding to do, then I feel that there should be no argument that, oh, the 8th place from Group A would have beaten the 6th place of Group B, so that should be taken into. That's not, because the structuring has already been decided. Whether you agree with the structuring or not is a very good conversation that we can have. But once it's established, I think there needs to be an overall acceptance for that's the way it is. Group A, the marbles in Group A compete against the marbles in Group A. So if they're better than marbles in Group B that get to qualify, that's immaterial. That is not even worth discussing. By the way, I'm distracted because I'm seeing on the JMR wiki the name of the location for the Marble League is Felnia Coliseum, like feline.
Felnia Coliseum.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. But Felinia. But no, like I think that there should be no argument like in that regard because it's about how the structuring has been put into place. So the only argument that I feel like is more, or at least more necessary and more valid, because you're going to hear a lot of Marble League fans arguing about these kinds of things, is the structuring even a good idea in the first place? Should it be structured into two groups like this, or should it not be?
Yes, I think both you, Marble Guy, and Waf brought up the points that I agree with about this, is that once it was separated, that's just the way it is. And it would be unfair to compare like the results in Group A to that of Group B, because that's simply just how it was structured.
Exactly.
And I mean, you would be looking at it the same. It would be the same case if the Green Ducks, if the Pinkies and Cobalts had higher points than the Gliding Glaciers and Team Momo in Group A. Like, people would be having that conversation as well.
Right.
And I think it's worth noting too that the Raspberry Racers in Group B had the highest points of any of the teams. The degree to which Group A and Group B were competitive is... I feel like it's really difficult to compare the two based on this.
Yeah.
Team Galactic in Group B got more points than the bottom two in Group A, the Balls of Chaos and Oceanics. And Team Galactic didn't even score in the first event. So,
Oh man.
yeah. I think looking at these two tables, looking at this graphic that I'm looking at right now, you can argue like whether the structure was correct, like whether this is something that should be done in future years, whether this is something that really worked this year, but I'm not so keen on trying to argue that one team in one group should have qualified over another team in another group. I don't think that's fair.
I agree with that, Stynth.
I agree too. Like, I just kind of wanted to bring up because like that's something that I'd heard a whole lot about. Like, it's like people were being very upset about that, like because like their favorite teams, like they didn't make it in because like, even though they did better than another one, but like the point is that like yeah, like it's not like the competitiveness, especially like with the Raspberry Racers, like they took so many points that could have been given to other teams. Like that's kind of like a way to think about it is like the Raspberry Racers like took so many. Like if they hadn't like been so dominant, like then like it probably wouldn't have been a question. Like the ones below them probably would have gotten like enough points to be higher than the Jungle Jumpers and the Wisps. So it wouldn't really matter too much. Like it is like a 1 point difference. So like I'm personally not upset about it, but I do know that a lot of other people are.
Yeah,
and I understand people who are upset about it because
it's a perspective.
I don't know that these qualifiers definitely did feel different compared to other qualifiers, and whether that's because of like the choice of events or because of the teams that didn't make it, or like because of I don't know, some of them finer production details of this qualifiers. I think there's a lot to talk about here, but
well, I mean, I have always had some problems with the qualifiers in general. I've said this many times before. I think the qualifiers should be 6 events. I think the qualifiers should, while it's nice to feature a new event in the qualifiers, and I'm fine with that, like Swing Wave, which is interesting to say the least. I really want to see the basics. I really want to see the basics of Marble League put out in the qualifiers. 5-meter sprint should be there. 5-meter sprint should be in the qualifiers because that is the basics of marble sports. They did have funnel endurance, so I'll give them that, and relays here and there. But I mean, I feel like block pushing needs to be in there. Block pushing is a staple. It tests a very specific skill in marble sports. It leans more towards the strength side, and it's very basic in its form, so that it's not a weird, complex event. It's simply be strong, work as a team. That's the basis of block pushing, and it should be in there for that reason. Collision should be in there. Not only being a fan favorite event, but also being an event that tests teamwork. It tests teamwork and head-to-head marble, not racing, head-to-head marble, just battling, I guess. So it needs to be there because that's a skill necessary in Marble League that should be tested on marbles that are trying to qualify. Swing Wave is not a necessary thing to be in the qualifiers. As cool as Swing Wave was, and I have mixed opinions on that, and we'll get there, and the Swing Wave's weird, it doesn't need to be in the qualifiers. It doesn't test a basic skill. I do agree with Sand Rally being in the qualifiers, something we don't often see, so I did enjoy that because that's also the basic skill of long-distance racing. But to not see block pushing, to not see collision, and honestly, in my opinion, there should be 6 events because that's a more holistic test. I'm always left a little bit, at least for this time, a little bit disappointed in the structure in the qualifiers. Add to that the 2 groups thing, and you know, while because the structuring is out there, you can't really complain about Midnight Wisps and Pinkies and who should have qualified. I think that argument, because that argument is even existing, they should not do it in 2 groups like that. They should allow everybody to compete at once. The best marbles advance, the not as good marbles don't advance, because you want the best teams. You want the best teams to be put forth out there on the field. So if you just randomly group them, if you group, like let's pretend, group 12 bad teams in a group 12 good teams in a group. I'm saying, like, if you look at all the previous stats overall from Lifetime, if you group the 12 best teams in one and the 12 worst teams in one, then you're gonna be getting rid of 6 really good teams, and you're going to be keeping 6 not so good teams in the overall scheme of things because of the way it's grouped. So it might randomly end up like that one of these times, and you have a really bad grouping that gives you a really odd Marble League for that season that's not really accurate towards the best players. So those are some thoughts I have. Sorry to ramble on so long.
Wow. I'm sorry. Do you want to go ahead and go with Stynth?
Yeah, I think these are really interesting and important points, and if this is the qualifiers that finally gets the fan base talking about these things, then and like tries to not only gets the fan base talking about these things, but gets the channel to actually consider these changes, then I'm all for that, because I agree with a lot of the points that you brought up. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. Now.
I will say that, like, when I heard about Swing Wave and like it coming back from Hubalino, I was imagining like the Hubalino tracks. Like, I don't know if I like really want that. But then like I've seen one like how they gave this like really professional looking track to do it with, and also like I had actually forgotten like how like at the end of it like going too far is actually a bad thing. Like it actually adds like a level, like you gotta like figure out how much power and speed you want to go into it with, and like so it does test some about like control and like the risk reward system, and like some teams they went way too fast and they flew right off, and some that went so fast they actually bumped their last member into the little bucket at the end, and it's like I think Swing Wave is actually a lot more fun than I expected it to be, and I think it does test a certain skill, maybe not as essential as like 5 meter sprint.
Skill.
Sure,
you have, especially if you're choosing. I'm sorry to cut in, Waff, but you have 4 events for the qualifiers because for some reason they don't want to do 6. Why is Swing Wave in there? I don't know. It's just like it's a good event. Don't get me wrong. And we can talk in a second about strategies for this event because I think I've kind of figured out where Marvel should be aiming. But it's just it's not an essential skill as far as what you need for basic Marble League performance, in my opinion.
Well, let's take a look. Let's actually, because I'm curious, let's compare this to last year's Marble League. And I know that's like kind of just going on a bit of a tangent, but
that's fine.
Interested...
No, tangents and MSW, those go together. So
I'm interested to see how you think balancing, funnel endurance, block pushing, and 5 meter sprint stack up against this year's qualifier events.
Absolutely way better. Okay, let's talk about that. Thanks for bringing that up. Balancing, and I can't believe that I forgot about balancing when I ranted before. Balancing should just go back to that rant and then like put balancing in, just the word balancing in there somewhere, because that should be also, balancing is a staple, a basic skill of Marble League. And it should be in the qualifiers as well. So balancing plus 5 meter sprint plus funnel endurance plus block pushing, those are 4 basic skills. The only thing that, and this one's arguable anyway, but the only thing that's really left out there would be collision. Honestly, if they had 6 events instead of 4, they could do collision as well, plus a new event, and trying to whet the appetite for that. But those 4 are perfect. The last year's qualifiers was beautiful. And I think that's why last year's Marble League ended up being so exciting and so sensible, because you really had the best teams, the most simply best Marble League teams out there on the field when you got to the main event.
I'm thinking about that, but yeah, you're right. Like that does test, I think, like the 4 most important and most used skills in Marble League, like speed from 5 meter sprint, precision from balancing, strength from block pushing, and then
teamwork.
Endurance from funnel endurance. Like those are 4 very important skills. Like I do wonder, the qualifiers might become boring if it was always just the same, those 4 every time. But like it is hard to argue against it because they test the 4 most important skills.
I disagree with the boredom aspect if they always keep it in one video like this, because then it's not like 4 weeks where you always know what event's coming. Besides, those 4 events are definitely the more popular events among the marble sports community at large. And in a qualifier should have a level of consistency, because like imagine from a marbles perspective, we can jump in a role play here for a minute. Imagine like, you're trying to qualify for Marble League one year, and you train your sprinting, you train your block pushing, and as your teamwork, and you're all ready with these basic skills. You're like, as a basic team, you're really good. and then you hit, and then like you do good that year. Then the next year you have to qualify, and you're hit with Swing Wave and Underwater Race, and then I don't know what else, Newton's Cradle. Then you're thrown way off your game. And you hit with these things that are very technical and complicated, and like we've talked about with Swing Wave, the strategy is really unknown and really goes against what a lot of the normal strategies are for a team of marbles when out there on the field for a particular event. So it really kind of throws you off to have an inconsistent qualifiers.
I suppose, but like folk did mention how like the Limers wouldn't have made it without Swing Wave, so it's like.
Well, actually, we do get. Sorry, I teased this but didn't mention it. The most excited thing I was excited about for this Marble League being that the Limers did qualify. So we have a Limers. We have them this year in Marble League, and I'm very excited for that. I'm a little sad that I'm a little sad that the reason that they're in is because of all the weird retirements, like of the Jawbreakers and the Hornets and all that drama. But to see the Limers in there, to see them perform well is just makes me happy. I'm a Limers fan. I am a little bit worried because they got dead last in Sand Rally, which is probably the most basic skill of the 4 events. But listen, we'll hope for the best with the Limers.
So. Oh boy. I kept telling myself, I was like, if the Limers win an event, I'm gonna like eat a sock or something. And the wave came on, and I was like very worried that I would actually have to eat a sock. And then the Raspberry Racers saved me. As they do. Of course, the only team that could place above the Limers had to be the Raspberry Racers, and I'm here for that. That's just poetic justice.
I love that too. Yeah, it's so great.
To talk about the teams that made it this time around, especially because it's not like some of the established teams. It is actually nice to see a bit of a turnover, even if. Like, I am very sad. My sister's an Oceanics fan. My friend is an Oceanics fan. I know so many people in the community that are Team Galactic fans and that are Wisps fans. And it's, like, really... And, like, Balls of Chaos fans, too. I can't forget about Maspanchino. It's sad to see that the turnover was on their end. And, like, to see how close Team Momo was to not qualifying, it could have been my team, too. It came down to a photo finish in the relay and not fully screwing up the Sand Rally for Team Momo.
Yeah.
But it's also exciting to see some new blood in the Marble League. Finally, is this the way it should have happened? I will continue to question that. But the Rojo Rollers are finally back in the Marble League. They've never. Yes. This is the first time they've ever qualified for the Marble League, exciting. Like outside of the lore reason that I gave them. The Gliding Glaciers have finally qualified for a Marble League. They're now joining every team from 2018. Which, by the way, talk about like perfect attendance. No 2018 team has failed to qualify except for the Gliding Glaciers, but like that was their old roster, and now technically, I don't know. They still like horrendously failed to qualify for the 2018 Winter Marble League, but it's nice to see them finally join the roster. Again.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan.
Otherwise in Group A, it was nice to see the Thunderbolts actually have Thunderbolts and Mellow Yellow, after like a host of just mediocre performances, actually do well. I'm sure
Agreed.
People wanted to see the Hazers do well, but they're like always the bridesmaid, really.
No, that's a good point. Hazers, like you really never see them at first. They're always stuck in third and fourth, maybe some seconds here and there, and they're a good team. If we're talking fantasy and you say Hazers, I'm not saying negative things, But I
Yeah.
mean, they just never seem to rise up and really be the best of the best.
Yeah, but they're a safe pick, and like you know that they'll always be there,
Right.
in some form. And then to talk about Group B too, like
Shining Swarm.
the Solar
man.
Flares, that was a disappointment. But I don't think
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like them or just like kind of being thrown into a qualifiers, because the Green Ducks and the Stars were thrown into that qualifiers, and
The Green Ducks are kind of a special
Green Ducks-
circumstance, you know. they're
the Green
amazing.
Ducks, yeah, they excelled in that qualifiers, and the Stars did fine. They actually, I think they got 5th in that qualifiers. And then, like, every year before that, all of the teams had been thrown into qualifiers, too. But the Marble League maybe wasn't as established back then as it is now. 2018 especially was just a mess. I'm putting on my lore hat right now. The Solar Flares, they did well in the Wave, which we can just debate that event. But they did well in the Wave, and now they're just kind of heading to the showdown. Turtle Sliders, Bumblebees. Bumblebees are also losing their perfect attendance streak. There's now no teams from 2020 to carry on that mantle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then the Pinkies and Cobalts and Chocolatiers, it literally, and Fook touched on this in the Marble Base, it literally came down to that photo finish. If the Cobalts had finished ahead of the Chocolatiers, no, if the Cobalts had finished in the lead, they would have qualified. If the Chocolatiers hadn't finished second, would they have qualified? They still would have qualified. No. Wait.
No,
If
if the
the
Chocolatiers had not
Chocolatiers
finished second,
had-
the Pinkies probably would have, right?
Yeah, that's...
Oh, no, they would have had to finish fourth.
No,
though.
no. They would need one more point.
Yeah.
If the Chocolatiers had finished fourth, they wouldn't have qualified. It's crazy how close that came.
For sure.
The Turtle Sliders, actually, if they had gotten, I think if they would have gotten the silver, they may have qualified, which is so weird to think about
Because they
they're
were
so
up
far
there
down the
earlier
order.
on in the race, right? They were
They were leading, and then they
Yeah.
hit the orb.
yeah. So I
Ghostly
mean,
was talking
yeah.
about that. But in terms of teams now getting the spotlight, the Chocolatiers have now appeared in like
Yes.
every other Marble League since 2017, which is a fun little stat. It'll be interesting to see how they do this time around. They usually get a few medals in a Marble League. In 2017, they were leading the standings at one point. Which no one thinks about, but I was writing the lore for them, and I realized, wow, they were leading, and the Limers were in second. Or
That's a
like
weird
Team
visual
Primary
to
was
imagine.
up there. Yeah, the Green
Oh,
Ducks, they're here. The Limers, oh god.
You
But
can't
I'm
knock the
most
Limers. You cannot knock that. Y'all say, oh yeah. And I know there's the Limers trash emoji in the Discord server, so you can spam that if you must. But I don't think the Limers are forever a bad team. I'm telling you. I said this years ago. There is going to be the year where the Limers come back and really make a statement. Is it this year? I don't think so. I am not putting them on my
Really?
fantasy team
you
this year.
don't think so. Interesting.
Really?
But is it coming? The answer for that is abso-freaking-lutely. I would actually say that 2022, 2023, we could see a real resurgence from the Limers. And when you look at the Limers, and I know Swing Wave was big for them, and I know Sand Rally wasn't good. Their last place in Sand Rally is why they're not on my fantasy team this year, even though I love the team. Because you cannot get last place in Sand Rally and think that you're going to be a front runner this year. But they are validly doing well this year. Their final endurance was passable. Their 5-meter relay left something to be desired, but wasn't terrible. And so I think they actually did well in their heat. They just didn't have a good time overall. And so I think that the Limers are making a slow push back towards a veteran team that should be a little bit better for sure. So I want to give them some credit. All right, I want to put away the Limers trash emote for a moment and give them a chance here to show that at least in the Marble League they can be a valid competitor.
My question is to you, like, while they're in the Marble League, why don't you think that they'll make that resurgence?
What do you mean?
Well, what if they just don't qualify next year? What if they don't? What if they're just left in the basement because Swing Wave isn't in qualifiers?
Well, listen, man. Okay. Listen, Marble Guy only can make predictions. Okay, I base myself off what I'm seeing in front of me, and they may not qualify next year, but I do not think I cannot safely say. I cannot sensibly, logically, as a marble sports connoisseur, as people might call me, say that the Limers will be the front-runner team this year with a last place in Sand Rally. When they weren't in last place to begin with. They were actually up in 7th and even 6th place at some point during that race, and they weren't able to hold on. So that inability to be consistent in Sand Rally, especially when there was drama like the turtle sliders not finding their way and the orb and things like that. So there were other marbles that were struggling that could have been taken advantage of, and the Limers just continue to drop back in that race. I don't think this year is going to be Limers are better than Savage Speeders type stuff. It's just going to be, they're going to be there, and they might be present, and you might see them even win an event. That's all.
It doesn't have to be... They don't have to be better than Savage Speeders to be resurgence. Like they just do good. Like that's like
no. I'm talking
really,
by resurgence. I'm talking about the Limers are gonna win one of these years soon.
Oh well, that's not what resurgence means. That's just dominating. But like,
I do have to bring up Flair's point. That's quite interesting. The Chocolatiers are very forgotten for a team that has been in 3 MLs, and I was talking.
But they're bad.
About this.
They're a bad team.
I was talking about this with Fook a few days ago. It's interesting. Like the Limers and Chocolatiers have been in the same amount of Marble Leagues. The difference between the Limers and the Chocolatiers is that the Limers are notoriously bad at like just really one of the worst performing teams in recent memory, while the Chocolatiers are notoriously average. They're just in the middle. They're neither at the top nor the bottom, and they just kind of get lost in the sea of names and sea of teams. So I'm not predicting a Chocolatiers resurgence, and I'm certainly not predicting a Limers resurgence. But I do want to talk about the top 3 teams at the top of Group B, because not only like is it surprising to see these teams at the top, but they're teams that I have like a pretty deep like lore connection to as well. The Shining Swarm, wow, they really just pulled it together like finally, and I'm very happy to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to cut in just for a sec here. When we talk about Shining Swarm, that's a hard team for me to talk about because I just don't really have that much. I don't have a sense of their abilities, and you know, because it's hard to really get a good sense from Showdown, because Showdown is obviously a lot less competitive than the regular Marble League. So the Shining Swarm for me is like a really interesting team that like I don't know if I'm putting them on my fantasy team yet, but I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued to see how they roll out. Ricochet. To see how they roll out this year. But anyway, continue, Stynth.
Well, I'm just gonna bring up some of their Marble League performance histories. So they won the Fidget Spinner Collision. Horrible event for me as a Team Momo fan, but honestly, the one thing that could cheer up my mood during that event was just seeing the Shining Swarm just have fun during that event, and just kind of like. I don't think they were trolling on the fidget spinner. I think they were just like trying to enjoy themselves without getting, smashed into pieces. Here's some other results that I think are worth noting. They didn't do well. They didn't do well from like the first like quarter of the Marble League. Besides that collision result, but they got a seventh place in hurdles, sixth place in the relay run, eighth in block pushing, eighth in high jump, fifth in archery, fourth in the underwater race, and fifth in the sand rally. So they actually pulled up some pretty strong results, even if they didn't podium throughout the rest of the Marble League, and they finished seventh. Pretty good for just a new team. And the Wisps did well. The Wisps got fourth too, so like they were the undisputed like best rookie team of the moment. But the Shining Swarm were certainly there, and not only were they there, like they actually did pretty well.
Yeah.
So like their skills, I mean, it's been 4 years and a lot could have changed, but they're pretty capable racers. From what it looks like here, they did well in all of the speed events, and I'd say like their number one thing that they have is that they just body their opponents during collision. They're so good at it. They got bronze during the collision event in the 2019 showdown too. So yeah.
Agree. Something that I was actually very interested in asking is like, if you remember, like there's actually like a clip of you like back in like episode 9 where you're like you're gonna pick Shining Swarm, and I'm like, I know that was a joke back then, but like would you actually consider that being an option this year?
They
Stynth?
they were a big meme. Back like when I was tried to.
Wow, what is this? What is this?
So
was this a Stynth or me
who
said this, or what happened?
It was one of the clips that Flair picked for the episode 25 special, and like it's just one I remember a lot. I was like someone was like, you know who I'm gonna pick? Shining Swarm.
Oh, I remember that. That was Stynth. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I barely remember that, but thanks for bringing that up. I don't know. I try to like bring more attention to them. Like mid 2019, really, like because they didn't they didn't have fans and they were a relatively unknown team. And I'm thinking like, what can I do to make this cool team that won one event just popular, kind of, or like decently known? And for a while it was them as a meme, and then like they failed to make it out the showdown, and it was like, wow, there's really not much I can do with this team. Hence 2020. And I'm starting to write lore for all of the teams. And I have absolutely no idea what to write for the Shining Swarm. And I'm not going to use the mysterious trope because I already used that for the hazers. So I figured, what can I do? Well, Swarm, Shining Swarm, there's like a Sterling on there, shiny. It kind of sounds like, I don't know what's making me think of it, but like this kind of sounds like just like a musical thing. Like there's something musical I could make out of this. And what if I relate it to the Beatles? Because I love the Beatles. And that's what I did. How
can you do that though? How can you wait? So because isn't the goal of lore within Marble Sports to keep Marble Sports from connecting to the real world? Like,
yes. That's true.
So did you actually call out the band?
No, no, I couldn't do that. I basically made it like a spoof. I basically said like the members of the Shining Swarm were once in this band called the Marbeats, and they released a bunch of albums, and they decided like through that to like start to go into they performed a live concert. I'm reading now from the wiki actually because I forgot the actual details. Their most popular song is Roll Over and Roll Out, and that song was used in a featurette about Marble Sports tournaments such as the one that featured like the Marble League in it initially. And then the members of the band started to gain interest in marble racing, and they performed their final live concert. And then after that final live concert, they started training as marble athletes.
Oh, that's a fun lore. I really like that. That was a creative idea.
Yeah. And it's something that just somehow it worked for them. And then people ask me, well, why didn't you use that about the Indigo Stars? Because they have Ringo's of the Indigo Stars on the team. And they asked me this recently, and I thought about it, and I was like, well, here's the thing. The Indigo Stars already had some lore written about them, or like referencing them. And it came from a comment that Yella made back on like old YouTube or Facebook, like back before I was even a fan. And he said the Purple Stars were planned to be in the 2017 Marble League qualifiers, but they pulled out of qualifiers due to like mental health things, mental health problems, mental health issues, to work on their mental health. And from that, I developed the story for the Indigo Stars. And that's a story that I feel like was very... It's a story that some people may need to hear because mental health is very important. And I tried to base that story just around kind of my own experiences with mental health and what other people may be going through and how they worked through that to continue competing in marble sports. And the Stars haven't been the best competing team, but after winning the practice race and after getting second in this qualifying group, I have to imagine that they're pretty happy and that the work that they put in has finally started to pay off.
Okay.
And then the Raspberry Racers, they dominated. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, and they dominated so well in. By the way, thank you for sharing some of the interesting history of some of the lore you've come up with. That's really cool, and that we'll continue to discuss that when we get to the next segment of the show, which we're going to try to roll to in a moment here. The Raspberry Racers did so well that they might even hit my fantasy team because they really impressed and they might be worth a pick. But the fantasy discussion is going to happen more in the next couple of episodes where we really start to dive into that a little bit better. Want to touch on one thing Focaf said, and then we're going to head to the trivia segment. And that being, he says he has two inflection points for ML. I'm going to touch on one of them. Whether one team can dominate the Triple Crown track events, being sprint, hurdles, and relay, is a big inflection point, he's saying, for ML. Performance in these events are not only correlated between runs and correlated between events in ML 2016-17. The speeders were able to dominate it so much because they consistently got golds and silvers in these track events, but this year there's a lot more competition for speedy teams, as well as possible domination by the hazers. I do agree that domination among those three events is extremely important. I disagree that there's more competition for speedy teams. I really do.
Oh, really?
I do not think that here's what I will say. I think the competition for the Savage Speeders is going to be a lot difficult because if you think the Old Rangers are not going to come out with blood in their eyes, then you're wrong. I mean, the Old Rangers are going to come out very strong, and the Old Rangers are almost, and I haven't really decided yet, but the Rangers. The Rangers are an easy ×3 for me, almost, because they're most likely to come out and really be out for blood. But besides that, you're losing a lot of speedy teams through in these qualifiers. I mean, in truth, Snowballs are not a slow team. They're not competing. Midnight Wisps are not a slow team. They're not competing. If you look downwards of Team Galactic, not a slow team at all, and they're a very consistent team. You're missing out on them as well. And so, and I don't think that the Rojo Rollers or the Gliding Glaciers or Shining Swarm, I don't think those teams yet replace those teams currently. We'd have to see them compete for a year to really make that sort of decision. So I do agree with the inflection point, but I don't know if there's going to be more competition for for teams like the Speeders and those speed events. Maybe from the Crazy Cat's eyes, because they showed so much in Marblearth 1, but I mean, we'll have to see. And I really don't think the Hazers are your dominating team this year when it comes to those speed events. I mean, Crazy Cat's eyes, O'Rangers, Savage Speeders, none of them are feeling comfortable right now. Okay, none of them are at the point where they're like, okay, this year we don't need to worry too much. This year we can relax. Crazy Cat's eyes, really would love to win, and they're hosting, and they would love to win a Marble League finally, and they showed a lot of speed in the previous Marble 1. And then when you talk about the O'Rangers, like I said, they are not happy about the end of last year's Marble League. So they're going to come out like extra strong, like double O'Rangers. And the Savage Speeders are, I mean, they are what they are. I mean, I know that they kind of covered all the bases. They won a Marble League, first repeat champion, first Marble League champion. They've done all that. But the Savage Speeders almost never lay down and die. And don't even forget about the Mini Maniacs. As much as I don't like them, I don't. They're bad. I hate them.
They're not bad.
I do think that they are going to be a speed contender this year. So there might be points of disagreement there, but I do agree with your with Focaf's overall point about those three basic racing events, sprint, hurdles, and relay, being extremely important. Being able to triple crown those is extremely important if you're going to try to win this year's Marble League. With that being said, I want to push on to the trivia, so let's jump into that. When we come back from that, we'll talk about some Marblearth as well. So,
can I
play the
final?
music?
Oh,
I
Sure.
guess
Go ahead.
not. I guess don't play the music. Sorry, S-Man Kaysen. Stynth, go ahead. Put in a final.
sorry. I just have one final point, and that's at the end of the video we did receive a table on seeding, and how like seeding this year is going to be like explicitly explained to us, and how pot assignments for each of the heat events will have one team from each pot. So the friendly teams each are they're all in one pot, so they'll never be competing against each other in a heat. And then
Interesting.
5 through 8 in that list is the Thunderbolts, Mellow Yellow, Racers, Stars, the top 2 from each group. They'll never be competing against each other in a heat. Then you have Heat 3, or Pot 3, which is 3rd and 4th in each group. And then you have Pot 4, which is 5th and 6th in each group.
Wow.
So I think that's going to create really interesting dynamic. You could have, for example, let me just list this. Savage Speeders, Indigo Stars, Hazers, and Green Ducks all in one heat.
Well, that's a Savage Speeders victory. I mean, this just is. I mean, you think the Hazers are gonna, really? You think the Hazers are going to come out and beat the Savage Speeders? I mean, Indigo Stars definitely not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and by the way, I do want to say I actually really like that that's a new structure, because what it does is it reduces it kind of allows for more diversity, as opposed to like the best teams like Savage Speeders and O'Rangers all going up against each other, and then all of them are knocked out except for like one, and then they're all moving on, even though O'Rangers may have been better than everybody but the Savage Speeders. So at least pushes the best teams onto Heat 2, round 2. But what that does, and yeah, I think that Green Ducks or Hazers could beat the Savage Speeders in a certain event. But what that does is it really allows for teams like Crazy Cat's Eyes and Savage Speeders and definitely O'Rangers to be able to dominate quite easily in first heats, because they're going to be usually 2 move on from a heat. So they're going to be versing usually 2 teams that are pretty low on the totem pole when it comes to skill regarding speed-based events. So, I mean, my prediction for speed-based events is that I almost can't see a situation where the Savage Speeders, O'Rangers, and Crazy Cat's Eyes all don't make it to round 2 in every speed event. That's what I see.
You're sleeping on the Indigo Stars, I have to say.
Really am, but I do not think they are a good team. I do not expect to see any consistency from them. I do not think they're going to perform well at all. I think they're going to finish under 8th place this year. That's my prediction.
I mean, they did pretty good in the qualifiers, so we'll see. I guess before we move on to trivia, I just want to mention, I liked that the VIP and coach section had like these little chairs. I thought
I
that
love
was
that.
cute.
Oh,
I just
so
wanted to
good.
mention that. Oh, and the desk. Greg Woods' desk, and like that. Oh, I love that.
And the little
The
water
aesthetic
bottle.
this year.
It was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Sorry for delaying the trivia.
Oh, absolutely no problem. Sometimes I am the biggest culprit when it comes to delaying segments on the show. So trivia, here we go. Play that music. Is the music playing? I really freak.
Now it's time for the trivia segment. Come on now, let's go.
Go.
I'm assuming it's played by at this point. So I'll start us off. Super Yak has a very useful question. Super Yak is one of the best trivia minds in our server. Let me scroll up to his question. And he's got one for us. So I'm going to read this one. I'm going to take this one as mine. Waff or Stynth, if you have one, great. If you don't, it's okay. It's up to you guys. So the trivia today, the difficulty level for me and Waff, he puts as extreme, which is scary. For Stynth, he says it's medium. I guess because Stynth is a very lore-based Marble Sports community member, and he will probably know this. But this is a fair question. Here we go. Question: of these teams, Raspberry Racers, Mellow Yellow, Boysenberry Ballers, Watermelon Walkers, Strawberry Strudels, Yarber Yellers, and Grape Nuts, which of these is not a team which participated in the Fruit Circuit competition?
Oh my gosh, this will be interesting. Okay.
Now, Stynth, I ask that you don't answer since I'm pretty sure you know this answer already.
I think he created this information.
Yeah,
I
so-
know the answer, and I won't say.
I'm going to lead you guys to my logic. I'm going to... Okay, so I remember that the Yarble Yellers and the Grape Nuts do have roles on the JMR server, so it's not them. I know Mellow Yellow and Raspberry Racers exist, so it's not them. So I have to choose from Boysenberry Ballers, Watermelon Walkers, and Strawberry Strudels. I mean, this is hard because like I can't put myself in the mindset of what kind of teams would Yella come up with, since this was not come up with by Yella, it was come up with by other members. So while I don't think Yella would ever let a team pass called Boysenberry Ballers, the rest of the lore team might. So this is a tough one.
Oh my gosh.
So my answer for this.
Oh man, this is.
I mean,
hard.
I'm a little
This is hard one.
confused because the spoiler box, and I hate to answer something like this, but the spoiler box looks smaller than Boysenberry Ballers and Strawberry Strudels, so I don't. That's also putting me off a little bit. But maybe I don't know. Maybe it was just typed differently. So I mean, maybe Grape Nuts was not actually in the Fruit Circuit. I don't know much about the Fruit Circuit. I know the Yarble Yellers was.
I'll go with Boysenberry Ballers just because the other lore teams don't have anything like the two like I guess marble related things, and that's the only one that actually has like something to do with spheroids. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
I think I'll go with Strawberry Strudels, man. That's dessert. I'll tell you what. Let's just see what happens. It is the Watermelon Walkers.
Are you kidding
It's
me?
the Watermelon Walkers.
You know what
Yeah.
killed me? My first guess when I saw this question at the beginning of the show before we got to the segment. My instinct was Watermelon Walkers, because why would you name a team with a negative connotation like walking? Because you want to be fast. But then like I overthought it and went away from that answer for whatever reason. So thank you for the question, Super Yak. That's good trivia.
Good.
Watermelon Walkers, man. You can't be walking out there. You know, X-Camo been counting.
Oh my
right.
gosh.
And Flair got it right too. Good job, Flair. You want more standard trivia questions? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was asking for trivia because I didn't have a trivia question prepared, unfortunately. Actually, I feel like I had something and then I just kind of lost it at one point.
So, Stynth, do you have a random lore? Because we don't know a ton about the deep lore. So, if you had just like a lore fact, you can turn that into a trivia question really quickly because we may not know.
Yeah, I could throw you. Now, writing more Marble Rally lore is something I really want to do, but haven't gotten around to doing yet. And that's something
Right.
that I'd also like to develop through Project Marblearth as well, because writing lore for all of these wonderful marbles is something I would love to help on, but not do completely on my own.
Understand? Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I could just wait.
I mean, I guess if we end up waiting a while, like Cypriac sent me a trivia question for mine. If you want to do that real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
All right. So he gives us an optional difficulty of hard. So, which marble earned the second most individual points in 2020 ML?
Oh, I should know this. Oh. I'm just sad because I know I'm going to get it wrong, but I should know this. I really, really should. I lean Kinowin, but I don't know. I really do lean Kinowin on this one. I feel like I saw it, but he might be actually number one. So, I mean, I feel like it's a Ranger Marble.
Is it minty fresh? I know they got... I know they got 2 golds, but...
I do not lean Mini Maniacs on this, but it might be. It might be Minute Fresh, actually. It might be Minute Fresh. I lean Kinowin, I lean Orangin, or I lean like Speedy.
This is a tough one.
I thought Speedy got number 1, but or like some Savage Speeders Marvel got number 1, but I frankly
that's why I lean Kinowin, because I think
sure.
I see it being Speedy Kinowin. Does that make sense? Like that's what I see the top 2 being.
Yeah, but Minty Fresh got 2 golds, I think. Or
I feel like I should make it fair for Izzy because like I can see the size of the spoiler tag and it's quite small.
That's why I'm saying Kinowin.
Like surprisingly small for a marble name.
Wow. Well, I mean, okay, if that's then in that case, I would go Speedy then because that's a small name, or Swiftly, but Swiftly's not as good, so Speedy. I'd go Speedy, because maybe Minty Fresh was the top of that.
And individuals. The only marbles with short names I can think of are Team Momo and Jungle Jumpers, but Jumpers weren't in 2020.
I'm definitely going Speedy.
where is this question? Is it in the chat?
He sent it to me in my personal DM, so yeah.
You have the short spoilers all to yourself.
Yeah, unfortunately, make sure to make those spoiler tags a bit longer.
Yeah, you should do. Tip for anyone who sends trivia questions: what S-Man does when he sent me one, when he used to send me a bunch, he would make the spoiler box super long because he'd use spaces and other random characters, he'll do a slash and then spaces, then the answer, then spaces, then a slash, just to make it super long, so I couldn't use that. But I mean, I gotta go Speedy.
I guess. I know Momo did better in 2020, but they weren't. I think I would have remembered. I would have remembered. I would have remembered if they had actually gotten that high in individuals.
I will end this podcast. I will end it. I will end it right now. I will end this recording. I will end the show right now if Momo is top 2.
Momo's no way.
Yeah, it was not Momo. It was not. There was no way it would have been. I would have remembered. I guess I think.
Speedy is your best bet. I mean, that's 5 letters. SPE.
That's true. It's true.
No, that's 6 letters.
I'll go with Swifty just to have something different.
And Stynth, what are you going with?
I'm going with Minty Fresh.
All right. Let's see what we got.
The answer: Ocean.
Ocean. What?
This
was 2019 though.
Fook got it.
What the heck, Ocean, man? I didn't.
No, that makes sense.
I didn't mean to make that meme. Ocean man.
Oh man.
Lead me to the land.
Listen, I was actually completely. I didn't know, so I will step down from that one without the knowledge.
Josh is gonna have to kick me off of his trivia team. Ugh.
Oh man. There's so much trivia in Marble Sports, though. It's hard to memorize everything for sure. That's a good answer. Yeah. That's a fun question. Since you have one for us before we head back to the rest of the show.
Where's Blazing Fireball from? What city's Blazing Fireball?
I can just see Waff's face in the camera, and he's like, "I'm not."
I knew this at one point. At one point, I actually knew this. I remember reading this. It's a fictional city. I know that. Like that's.
They're
like,
all
that's just
fictional cities.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Waff kind of take the reins on this one. I do not know.
I don't know. Like Flametop City. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Blazeria.
Blaze area. Are those your final answers?
Yes.
Yes.
The correct answer is Checkham.
Wait. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like the balls of flame joke.
Yeah, it's a balls of flame joke.
Oh my god! Because Blaze. Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh my god! This community is great. I love this community. Okay.
That's one of the oldest jokes in the book. Come on.
I know. I remember when I was there when people were spamming that. Just every other message was just the spoiler thing and the balls of flames. Back in the old days with the fan teams. Good one though. Good question. So let's head back from the trivia. Play that music. Does that mean it played? I hope so.
That was the trivia segment. Now let's head back to the show. The show. Oh.
What is it? Show. Whoa. Show. Oh. Or whatever Waff says. Okay, we're back. The music probably was shoved in there somewhere. So, we are running very short on time, but we have to talk about Stynth's project as a part of this thing. So we may push emails off to next week because we may just run out of time because Stynth is going to introduce, discuss, and explain to us what is the Marblearth project.
Yes, Project Marblearth. Marblearth. It's not the easiest thing to say. Project Marblearth is a community-led project to build a community-authored narrative for Yella's Marble runs. So, back before really I was a fan, there really wasn't much lore besides just a bunch of disorganized headcanons. And then I think right around when I did start to become a fan of this, there was a Q&A on the wiki, the subreddit actually. I was like, ask the International Marble Committee anything, and we'll try to like provide answers. And people were asking about lore on there. And they made up some canons for lore, like someone talked about Galaxy toothpaste on there. Someone talked about like this weird like lemon team on there. Someone talked about how the O'Rangers have an accent where they add like O's onto everything. Needless to say, some of those
don't give me any ideas, sir.
Some of those haven't made it past that thread, and some of them have, like Galaxy toothpaste. But that was like sort of like the foundation before there was a foundation for establishing lore through the community, made by the community. And the people who responded to that, provided those answers, were like Melicus and Soulcom and other members, some of which aren't active in this community anymore, but other members of the community. And then I got more involved, and I started writing the retrospective blogs on the MSPM blog. And I eventually, I wanted to write, I wrote a few, and then I like kind of like just started doing other things. And I was eventually, I had always wondered like, what happens if I write one for every team? What's that gonna look like? And when I had started writing them, I wrote them like as a part of like our world. Like Team Momo was based in New Jersey, and Raspberry Racers were based in Poland, and
that's
whatever. Yes, EdUGJ23 has actually found that thread of expanding the ML universe.
Man.
Can we just take him? I don't know how Adu he finds everything. He finds
That's
everything.
so fast.
If it's like if it's gonna be found, Edu's gonna find it. That's insane. You gotta love Edu. But back to what you're saying.
And then the JMRC was established, and then we decided through the JMRC was me, Mel, Nova Wolf, who wasn't on the JMRC then, and everyone else who was in the formal committee. We started talking about some bigger ideas for lore and making a narrative for every team, which is something that Nova Wolf specifically pioneered, that every team and athlete should have a story. Took it upon myself throughout later in the year to finally start writing lore for every team through their retrospectives. And that on my own, like even as Project Canon just kind of fell by the wayside of the committee, was something that I kept working on. And I finally finished publishing all of those active teams retrospectives last year.
Wait, can I want to ask you this before I forget this idea, but so you have one article for each team is what you're saying, like one lore, like a backstory article for each team?
Yes.
Okay.
That's excluding the Colliding Glaciers and Solar Flares for...
I'm sure those will come soon, right?
They will.
This is going to start now. I'm just going to start this starting with episode 102. Every episode now, as a new segment, we are going to do one of those teams. We're going to read... I don't know if I'll read the whole retrospective or read it beforehand and talk about different points, but to slowly educate all the listeners on some of the backstory of each one of the most important teams in Marble Sports, we're going to do one per episode. So, Waf, please, I'm going to ask you just to do something, whatever it is, just like cut off your arm or something. Make sure you remind yourself to remind me to do this each episode, because I want this to be a thing, like a new segment. Yes, we'll have to compress things a little bit more to give it time, and I'm going to try to make sure this segment is quick and just to the point, but I really think that it's important that we know at least some base stuff about the lore for each team. So, out of nowhere.
I was just gonna say, but as we wait for like more Marble-y stuff, like we'll have probably a lot of plenty of time to talk about stuff. But like, yeah, that actually is something that'd be really cool to talk about, because like so when the retrospectives first started, I actually did read them for a bit, but I felt like I kind of just fell away from it for a bit, just because. Not because it was poorly written or anything, but I think because I think my mindset about it at the time, it's hard to remember. It's 2 years ago at this point, basically. I think it was like,
hey,
it felt like because it was only canon outside of things and was mostly never gonna be brought up within the competitions. It felt like it wasn't something that was, I guess, necessary. But I definitely feel like I'm actually feel like getting into it now, and like especially with the whole Marblearth thing, that seems like something to be very fun and interesting to get into.
So the idea of Project Marblearth, and by the way, Marble Guy, I'm flattered and honored that you're actually thinking of incorporating that into
it's a good
future
idea.
shows of this podcast.
Your writing is extremely good, and being aware of that lore now that we're like a couple years into this podcast now, and we proclaim ourselves as connoisseurs of Marble Sports, and one of the most important parts of the community of Marble Sports is understanding the lore and understanding what the community accepts as the real stories of the teams that we have. So I find this particular idea or this particular basket of knowledge, or whatever you want to call it, extremely important to dive into. As well, it'll be fun. It will be fun. We'll be able to like find weird little things about the marbles, and then maybe some new jokes will come out of that. We'll see. Anyway, we're running low on time, but I do want you to finish explaining the Marblearth thing. So please do so, and then we will wrap up for the show.
So the idea of Project Marblearth is that I was able to kind of consolidate all of these ideas that the committee had and that the community had, and also just like incorporate my own vision for the project, for the retrospectives, and how I wanted each team's lore to be structured, and how I wanted that to also be consistent across all of the teams, so that's easy to follow. All of the retrospectives have a similar structure in like going from origin story to competitions to off seasons, and that was all intentional. now that I've done all of this work, and I've done a little bit of outside work for the Marble Rally and Marbula 1, and like the little off-season details of just building the world of JMR around these marble sports, it's time to bring that to the community and to expand lore making to the community, and to get people in the community who want to just talk about this and to provide their own vision of it to do just that. I can't do it alone. I won't be able to keep writing lore forever, and it's fine. Through Project Marblearth, it's about giving those other voices, those other authors and writers and designers a platform to just have a say in how they want to advance these narratives, the foundation of these narratives that I started.
I think that's awesome. I'm glad that this project organizes all of those interested people, because making it a thing, making it a place to be, the Marblearth Discord server, the Marblearth project, you're putting everybody who has the desire to contribute in some way to the lore of marble sports, you're putting them all in one place. You're giving them all one common goal, and that's going to be successful because they're all working towards the same thing, and they're not feeling like they're all writing different things and they're all arguing about them and sending them out to different places. They're all working towards the same goal, and that's it's a great idea. I think the project will succeed because it's organized in that fashion. And in the future, maybe it'll be really more visually incorporated or vocally incorporated into the actual videos. And maybe you can even contact Greg Woods and be like, hey, I'm just here's some lore, just pop a random thing in every once in a while and begin the incorporation, because you have that project, you're creating something a lot more credible because you have a lot more people agreeing that are very inner marble sports community folks. And then to bring that to Greg Woods, and then you can incorporate it in without really any much drama, because I'm listen, I don't know if he'll be down for it, but Greg Woods, I feel like would find that really interesting and worth putting in there. So I'm all about the direction of the project for sure. Join the Discord for Marblearth. We'll probably throw it down in the description if we remember. You can find it if you just go into the JMR Marble Base and ask somebody in there, or maybe I don't know. Stynth, are you still in the Marble Base?
I am, yes. I'm actually a
so
moderator.
Ping Stynth. Ping Stynth there, and you'll be able to access him regarding that. Anything else you want to say about it, Stynth, before we close out for today?
Yeah. Wolf, you go first.
I just wanted to bring something. I do think that it's actually it's great that something like this has round switch, since like I don't like talking about the whole Dion thing. I try to keep that to minimum, but like as we already kind of discussed, like Dion is not really gonna he doesn't actually really know anything about the old lore, and it's kind of contradicts things like that. Like, oh, the crazy cat's eyes are from Egypt, and like having someone actually cares about that, it would be nice. Like, heck, even in the qualifier, something that really threw me for a loop from the very beginning was Greg said, Momo is now the team captain in replace of Momomo, and I was like, hold on a second, that's not right. Momo has been the captain the entire time, and after the event, I went back to check just to make sure, and yeah, Momo has always been the captain. It's never been Momomo, and I was just very confused, like how they messed it up.
Yes, I believe that was something that was just miscoordinated, and I don't know. I'm no longer behind the scenes, so I can't really speak to how that happened and how that should have been different. But yes, I definitely agree. And this is something I hope is successful, that this project is successful. And I hope it's successful for the community, not for me. This is a project for the community, not for me. It's about giving... It's something that I hope the community is able to organize around in achieving in a way that I feel like the channel may be having some difficulties with right now. And I know at the same time, there's also members of the new committee that are authors in Marblearth that are trying to work to get some of the Project Marblearth or lore incorporated. Now, It doesn't mean Project Marblearth is affiliated with JMR. That's something that I still can't. I still don't think is the case unless I hear anything really from JMR about that.
Right.
But Project Marblearth is a project for the community, and it's about getting the community more involved in expanding the narratives and lores and telling their own stories about this thing that they love so much. And that thing is the events and teams and athletes and of Yellow's Marble Runs. And that's the primary focus. And I'm excited to launch it pretty soon. I've been working on the website, and we've been working on actually making some new stories for the gliding glaciers and solar flares. Whether or not they're incorporated in official JMR stuff is just something I can't speak to. But there's something that this project is working on, because this project is still following the events of the Yellow's Marble Runs universe while also just creating our own thing. It's about bringing the community stories of how marble athletes get into sports and becoming the best versions of themselves through their training to life. And that's at the heart of this project. It's at the heart of the lore that I've written, and it's at the heart of what this will continue to be.
All right.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big fan as well, and you got the full support of the MSW podcast as you work on that project. I'm really excited to see where it goes. Unfortunately, this podcast is going to an end, as it is very long, so we are going to wrap up for the day. But thank you, Stynth, for coming on and sharing this with us and talking some Marble League with us, and as we head towards this year's main event.
Thank you for having me on. I'm sorry I ranted for quite a bit about qualifiers.
Don't be sorry for ranting.
Fine. That is normal for our podcast, regardless if it's the guest or it's Brendan. And on a very rare occasion, very rarely, I will do it too. Just
Waft as
not
a
often.
couple. Listen, I think I ranted today too. I got a little loud there about a couple. I mean, Indigo Stars, man. Come on, Indigo Stars. Come on, no. But anyway, Stynth, no, you were great you were great today. We learned a lot from you today, like a lot of cool stuff, and definitely we're gonna try to incorporate some more of that lore into the show as well, and so we can all as a community of at least the MSW community learn more about that. So, with that being said, Waft, you can take us out for the day. Thanks for everyone who joined in on episode 101. Wow, we're almost at 200.
This reminds me of Jackson's like 25 of your grammar sucks. That's almost 100 every single time. All right, roll on, Marble sports fans.
Keep on rolling.